Alright guys, this is Jacob from Wager Me This, and I got a new series of videos here, and I'll be calling them Making You a Better Craps Player. Alright, so this is going to be Making You a Better Craps Player video number 1, episode number 1. And so in this group of videos, I want to take the craps community, especially the newer guys, from your first time learning the game at all to all the way being a seasoned veteran and being good at the game. So one of the things that I think every craps player needs to start at is that you need to learn the layout first. Like, you need to learn what is actually offered on the craps table. And so there's a lot of things, obviously, but there's some very basic first things you need to learn, right? It's the pass line, the don't pass line, and the place bets. You got to learn these because these are the base of all your plays usually. They're going to be what is in most strategies. You're going to use these kind of bets. So I'm not going to go into that one a lot, because what I want to get through there is that you should understand the game before you go play it. You should understand the mechanics of the game. Not necessarily be an expert at it, but have an idea of what is going to go on at the game, right? How to make your bets. So, like, you got money and you're like, I want a 6 and 8. Well, they're not going to know what you mean by that. Or do you mean $24 6 and 8, $25 6 and 8, $18 6 and 8? They're going to want to know things. So understanding how to place your bets correctly, different things, understanding when to do it. When the dice are rolling down the middle of the table, it's not time to throw chips in the table. That's not time. So just things like that, little etiquette things that you need to be learning. And there's a lot of videos on that throughout, and you'll get told at the casino a lot of times. And I get the craps table, the layout can be intimidating, but remember, the only bets that matter on the whole table are your bets, your personal bets. So if there's 1,000 chips out there and you have one chip on the pass line, that's the only one that matters to you. All the rest of that stuff doesn't matter. So just block it all out. You're only playing your game. You're only playing you against the house. You're not playing against the other players. That's not a thing in craps. So second thing I want to talk about in this first video here about making you a better craps player is knowing your bankroll. What is your real bankroll? If you're a $100 player, a $100 player, you should be finding a $5 table, or you should be playing bubble craps. Because if you have to play even on a $10 table with $100, you're really stretching yourself thin there. You're really not giving yourself a huge opportunity to win. $100 at a $5 table, you can grind it out and make some money, a couple bucks. It's possible. It makes sense. But really anything over that, if you're just a $100 player, you should start at the bubble craps machines, just because you're going to be able to make smaller bets and you're going to be able to take your time and really learn the game, as opposed to going to the table and having to play 10 and 15 or even $25 bets with just $100. You're just giving your money to the casino at that point. You don't have any room for error, so there's really no realistic way you're going to win that. All right. The other thing about knowing who you are is having some experience, whether it's practicing, whether it's virtual, whether it's at the live casino, and understanding which side of the bets you want to be on, or what type of bets you want to be making. Do you want to be really conservative and just play a couple bets, or are you looking to play across the board? And all of this fits into your bankroll. Obviously, if you have a $100 bankroll, strategies like 96 across don't make a lot of sense. All right. But if you have a $1,000 bankroll, strategy like 96 across fits right in. So they're definitely knowing who you are and knowing what you're going to do at the craps table is very serious. All right. It's very important. And these are things that I'm going to talk about, and I want to show just some things here and there. Like, for example, I'm going to let the dice pick my bankroll really quick. So whatever it comes up as, I'm going to multiply it by 100, and that's going to be my bankroll. 300. Okay, so we got $300 bankroll. This is, in my opinion, a beginner bankroll. This is what a beginner would be at. Now, obviously, some people aren't going to be able to play this big, but most people that play craps can play $300. All right, this is a very beginner bankroll. All right, you can play with $300 on a $15 table. It's not out of the range of possibility, but you should really be looking for $10 tables or $5 tables with only $300. You can play on a 15, but in this case, I'm going to act like we found a $10 table. All right, so on a $10 table with $300, that means that you can break it down a few ways. You can say, okay, I have 30 $10 bets, and you can even count the 6 and 8, even though they're going to be a $12 bet. You can count them as a $10 bet because the money will work out. All right, so you have 30 bets essentially at $10. All right, so that's the first thing. Bankroll to table minimums. You should be correlating these things. You shouldn't be taking $300 over to a $25 table because you only have 12 bets. There's only 12 bets. You have 12 $25 chips, and you're just really behind the 8 ball there. You're just really going to struggle to be profitable because you just don't have enough leeway to have a bad run. But so let's say we have a $300 bankroll. We found us a $10 table. Most likely it's going to be 3, 4, 5 odds. Probably a lower limit like 500 or 1,000 on the, for the upper limit there. That's probably not going to matter. You're not ever probably going to get there with just $300, but maybe if you had a really long roll, maybe you do. So, but at $300, so what should you be looking for? Well, you have $300 bankroll. In my opinion, if this is your whole bankroll, if you don't have money behind this $300, if you don't have like a couple more $300 bankrolls, if this is it, if this is everything you got, you should be playing for a 10% win. So it's only $30, right? You should be playing for a 10% win because every session, if you win 10%, or every time you're up 10%, if you'll put those chips in your pocket, you'll see how good you'll do. So let's see what we got. All right. I'm just going to randomly throw the dice. All right. So first thing first, $300 bankroll depends on how you want to play. You can play the don't, the pass. I'm going to play it how most people would play it. I'm going to play a pass line bet plus inside numbers. All right. This is going to be a very common strategy. Here we go, coming out. We got to come out 7, so that's a good one. Remember, we're only looking for a 10% win. So that's $30 is all we're looking for. I'm going to put it over here. Once we get to $30, we're going to put that in our pocket. And we got a 5 as our point. 5, 5, 5, 4, 1, 5. Okay. Oops, I messed up. Sorry, this is supposed to come out of here. That was my bad. I don't know what I was thinking there. Let's get 5 ones. All right. So now, profit, everything else. You need to keep track of where you're at. So you need to be getting to $330. Every time you get to $330, whether it's money on the board, no matter how it is, you need to be putting that money in your pocket. All right, there's a 1, 2, 3. And what I'm talking about here is if you only have $300 to play with. If you have multiple $300 bankrolls, there's aces, and all you're doing is putting 300 of it on the table, you can make your profit percentage higher. All right, there's a 7. 6, 1. Okay, perfect. So we're going to lose. So in this case, we're just going to return this over here because we're not over $300 again. So next shooter comes out. Remember, we're just looking for a 10% profit if all we have is $300. There's a 628. And what I'm going to show is you can repeat this process. You can stay at the table, but keep track of what you're doing and keep putting that money, that $30, keep putting it in your pocket. Always maintaining $300 in your bank. Hard 8 right back. 2 back to back. Not hard 8s, but 8s. So until you have $300. So you know you have $42 out there, right? So you got to be keeping track of what's in your rack, guys. It's important. It's very important to know what you have in your rack. There's a 3. So what do we have? We have 100, 200, 220, 224, 234, 244, 254, 264, 266. So we need about $70 to get where we're trying to go. There's a hard 8. And that, if you'll keep repeating this process over and over, starting at a $300 bankroll, really no matter which strategy you choose, that was a dice off the table, you'll be profitable because you're not trying to win too much. And there's an 11. We already got a point, so it's not helping us. And you'll be profitable, guys, because you're not trying to be greedy. Don't be greedy at the craps table. There's a 7. We're getting blasted on our strategy here. So as a beginning player, these are the kind of things you should be looking to have a very conservative approach, make a small amount of money to build your bankroll. Because bankroll, there's a 7 on the come out. Bankroll is as big of a part as being a successful craps player as anything. It's as big as strategy, dice control, all that. Having the correct bankroll. If you don't have the correct bankroll, if you don't have enough money to play craps, you won't win. It's just, craps has a lot of variance to it. So to be really good at the game, it actually takes money. All right, we're getting 50 out. And so knowing who you are, knowing what kind of money you have, knowing, having a really good idea of how much profit you should be trying to make. There's a 7. Wow, we are just rolling like garbage. But knowing exactly who you are and what money is a huge deal. I mean, it's more than just having a strategy. It's more than just being a practice dice shooter. It's more than all of that, especially as a beginner. I don't know how many times I've seen beginner craps players. They watched a video or they heard about how to set some dice, and they run to the casino, and they think because they're setting that 3V or that hardway set that it's just going to work. All right? They're not practiced, and it doesn't work. And they're like, dang, that doesn't work. You can't actually do that. Well, that's not true. You can actually do it, but you can't just pick the dice up one time and be able to do it. That's not real. There's a 5. That's the point. So we're going to see if we can make a comeback here. We're way behind. I mean, and this is part of the variance in craps. These dice have been really, really, really vicious to the light side for this first little run. There's a come out 7. We've had a bunch of 7s on not only come out, but also on when we're rolling. And we already got a point. We've had a lot of 7s. And this does happen, guys. That's why bankroll matters. That's why you need to have some room in your bankroll to have a very, very bad run of dice. No matter what strategy you play. There's a $14 winner. No matter what strategy it is. Because all of them are going to fail at one time or another. Dice control is going to fail you at one time or another. So you have to have bankroll to help you through those times. Right? There's a $14 winner. And understanding that you're only looking for a small profit when you're going to the craps table. If you keep your profits goals small, you'll be successful at a much higher rate. If you're going there trying to win $10,000 off 1,000, you're not going to be successful that often. It's just the way it works, guys. It's not, I'm not saying that people are unskilled, there's a come out 7 or anything like that. What I'm saying is that the variance in the game is so big, no matter how skilled you are, that trying to have huge profit days, it just doesn't work. There's a 9. It just won't work over time. And I think what happens a lot of times is guys have a really great day early on in their craps journey, and then they're always trying to repeat that day. So 6, 4, 10. They caught a 60 roller, pressed it up, made $10,000, and now they think that they can do that every day. It's just not the truth, guys. That's just not reality of playing craps. Keeping your profit goals very small and being very consistent with it. When you get up your 10%, 20%, whatever it is you want to be up, you have to put that in your pocket. So this is how you become a better craps player, guys. All I'm doing is random rolling here. We had a bad run, now we're having a good run. All right? Obviously, I could be pressing, but I'm talking about beginner craps here. This is for the beginner player. This first video. This isn't for you seasoned guys that are really good at craps. All right? This is for the guys that are just starting out. And there's our 7 finally. I don't know how many we hit. We had a good success on that run. All right, we're still down $100. All right, that's because we had a really bad run of dice. All right, so let's try this again. Coming out. And there's an 8. Oh. Here we go. Again, we're looking to get to $330. And it's not always going to happen, guys. Sometimes you get down 100, it might be time to cut your losses. You know, you're only down 100 after being down 200. You might be like, okay, tomorrow's a new day. 516. And there are times that it's going to go that way. There's a 4. There are times that you're going to be it's just not your day. Even you could be rolling the dice correctly. All that stuff could be correct. And I mean, I've had stuff like this happen. I know I shot the dice right, and they were probably going to come up correctly. And a guy stuck his hand down in way of them, and they bounced off his hand. And it rolls a 7. I mean, there are times that stuff is out of your control. But a lot of times it's not. A lot of times it's just you. It's just a bad day. You're not doing something exactly right. Whatever the case is, it's the variance. There's a 1, 2, 3. We are struggling to get anything going. All right. There's a 6. So if something like this were to happen to you, you know, you're down basically half of what you brought, half of your bankroll. Might be time to start switching it up a little. Instead of just riding out 44 inside, maybe switch it up to 3 hits and down. You know, try to make it easier to win. Try to do things to make your life easier at the craps table, not harder. So let's switch that up. Let's go to 3 hits and down. So there's 1 hit. What that'll do for you is it'll lock profit in because you won't have risk on the table. So you'll lock profit in. So these are small maneuvers as a beginning craps player, there's a 549 that can definitely really help your game. $14, so that's hit number 2. Hard 4. And there's the 9 again, 6-3. You're going to win 14. All right, now we're going to take these bets down. We obviously can't take that one down. But what this is doing for you, now you only have that little bit of exposure. You're going to rerun it the next round. Or you could do other things. You know, you could say, okay, I'm just going to play the 6 and 8 now. Or I'm going to put a $10 don't bet and try to win on the 7. You know, so there's things, all kinds of things you can do here. This is one of them. We're going to throw a don't bet out there and see what happens. All right, we rolled an 8. Okay, so now we have an 8 and a 6, but our 8 is actually a 7. So if we roll a 7, we break even. We roll a 6, we win $10. If we roll an 8, we lose $10. There's our 8, of course, right? So these are just little things. You don't have to be super aggressive. All right, you could go the other route. You could play through the come. These are little things just trying to make your play better. All right, make your chances at the casino better. All right, make a second comeback. So at least if we roll a 7 here, that comeback will pay for one of our bets. And we did, okay? So this comeback protected that bet. We lose this one. Not a huge deal. All right, so let's stick with 3 hits and down. See where we're at. There's the 9. And again, guys, we're not doing anything but 44 is our only real strategy play here. 44 inside, $300 bankroll, new player. He's just trying to grind it out to a 10% win. And guys, as you can tell, you see how these dice are rolling. You see how hard it is to get to a 10% win. There's a 12. One bad run of dice has put us in this position where we're trying to fight back. All right? There's an 8. And this is what happens a lot. Is a bad run of dice happens early and you're never able to recover. So you lose your whole bankroll. There's a 4-2-6. And then you're complaining and saying people's strategies don't work or whatever, you know. But it's really not that's really not true. What happened is you probably overextended and a bad run crushed you. So that's what knowing your bankroll and knowing where you're at. All right, there was only 2 hits and then we rolled a 7. So we got about half of our money back there. Knowing your bankroll, knowing who you are as a craps player, what kind of money you have backing it up. All these things are so important to actually being successful. Anyone can get out here and tell you that, oh yeah, 3-point Molly, only way to play. And then they can give you all the glory stories about it. Or Iron Cross, only way to play, every number wins. They can give you all these glory stories about how if you don't roll a 7 for 6 rolls, you're in the clear. Well, it's hard to not roll a 7 6 rolls. Really hard. All right, there's a 6. It's far more difficult than people want to imagine. And so these are the things that, understanding these things before you ever get there, knowing before you go, this is going to make you a better craps player. There's a hard 8. Knowing what to expect, what happens, what do you do when you have a bad run, how you're going to switch up, make an adjustment to be successful. And that's what we're doing here. That's why we're on this 3 hits and down, but we just can't even get there. So we can't even get to 3 hits. That's how difficult it is. And now, of course, I'm only random rolling here, but any beginning craps player is going to be a random roller. There's no way around it. You have to put tons and tons of time and effort into dice control to be good at it. So if you watch some dice control videos and you grab the dice out of your Monopoly game at home and you've been throwing them into your wall and you've been getting great results, that does not translate to the casino. I guarantee it. All right? It does not translate. So until you really, unless you have a table, and there's another 7. See, at this point, after as bad as these dice have went, you either got to do one or two things. Either you got to be done and just be down 200 and, you know, come back another day, or you got to switch to the don'ts. You got to make some other plays sometimes. But in this case, that little run didn't work out. We never even got to our percent profit. So this is a really good example of how hard it is to actually get there. Right? So I'm going to see just really quick if I can bring this back to $300 just on my own by using some advanced strategy here at the end. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a $40 note. I'm looking at my bankroll here. I got about 65 left in there. All right, so hopefully I can get through this roll and get there. This is a little more advanced. And there's the hard 6, okay? We can live with that random roll. Remember, we got 40 sitting there. Let's get some reds for these. Okay, so with 40, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place these, and I'm going to have a little cover. So this is an advanced version of 44 inside. All right? It's essentially with a cover bet. And there's our 6. We got hit right away. Right away. Yeah. What time is it? So we're going to play this out. Whatever's left on this don't. And again, I may not be able to bring it back. This may just not go right at this point. And there's the 8, okay? So here we go. But this is a really good example of how a very small number just isn't enough to play craps, where you have to have a bigger number. There was a 0.7. So let's see what we won. You have to have a bigger number to play craps, guys. It's 30, 40. All right, so we're going to try this again. It's going to be my last run at it, see if we can get it. And we got a 9, okay? You just, playing craps cheaply, unless you're going to sit there at a bubble craps table where you can play $1, it just doesn't work, guys. And so, knowing what your bankroll is compared to what you can play is very huge. There's a $14 winner. I'm going to drop $1 for 15. Knowing what you can play bankroll wise is super big. It's so big. You see instances like this where it went all wrong and we were out of money pretty quick. There's a 3, so we had a 2 and a 3 back to back. And if you were playing other bets along the way, like the field and the all tall small and other things, you would have lost your money so much faster that it's even worse. So you really got to know what you're doing, guys. You really got to not necessarily know what you're doing, but understanding who you are is where it's at. Understanding what it is you are at the craps table, what you expect to accomplish. All right? So we definitely lost money there. It looks like we lost $200. I think if I sat here and grinded it out, I could get the 300 back, but I don't have time for that in this video. And I just want to go on and tell y'all, this is going to be the new video. This is going to be the first one in this series. I'm going to be coming out with one of these a week. And there's also going to be some other series going on. Some of them will be live. But I really want to break in and get early craps players, the guys that are really new to the game, the guys that tell me I don't give them enough information. So that's what I'm trying to do here. And so this is kind of a very good example of how you have to have a significant bankroll to play the game of craps. A big bankroll only plays a small game of craps. And so the correlation is about 10 to 1. But if you really want to do it correctly, you really need to be around 25 to 1. All right? So you need to have, basically, if you had $300 was your buy-in, you really need at least 10 times that in your actual bankroll. But ideally, you would want 25 times that, which sounds crazy, right? You know, that's $7,500. But to play $300 every time and not have to worry about losing it, you have to have that kind of backup. And so those are the things. If you're a brand new craps player, and I know you're not probably going to come to the table with $10,000 or $5,000 or $3,000 or even $1,000. You're just probably just not going to be in what you can do. That's why some of this stuff is what you need to know. You need to know that you can't be really crazy. If you do, you're just going to get wiped out. But anyways, guys, this is Jacob from Wager Me This, and I hope you all liked the video.